We in effect. What?
What?
We back.
What?
We back. Oh man, you lose, dog. All right, you out. Next round.
Hey.
Hey, what's up, John?
on?
What's going on?
Welcome, Sir Ways of the Sith. Ways of the Sith and the Super Awesome Geek Show. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Oh, look, we got action figures.
New ones that aren't even out yet.
Which one's your favorite?
I think these two out of the whole wave. Like I was saying to you before, Morgan's really cool too. She's really, really nice. But these two are really, really awesome. And I thought Sabine was on the Bo-Katan body, but it actually is a whole new body.
Oh, her helmet is bobbling too. You're right.
You see, that's what I was saying. It's loose. It fits over the top, but it's very bobbly. But she looks good under the helmet.
Oh, that's a good head sculpt.
Yeah. I don't think Hasbro has the rights to make bobbleheads. They might get in trouble. They look good though. The colors, kind of why I like Sabine. She's just, she's got the ever-changing, colorful armor.
Lots of decorations. She got the Pergo on the shoulder pad and everything, and then the ghost symbol on the other side. Really cool. They did a good job.
Space whale on her shoulder now.
Yeah, she got the Pergo on the
instead of her owl.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
She was officially like a night owl at some point.
And one thing I did notice, this Ezra body and the proportions of that Marok figure do look awfully similar. Like it looks like they used the same lower and upper and just put the armor, over the top of it. So I'm like, oh man, you better not be Ezra.
I think they want us to partly think. I think they want us to, reach and think
it is
all these possibilities, including Ezra, which it's quite a realistic possibility.
Oh yeah, no, it is. It's just I hope it's not, because it twists his character arc. Like he already, like I get if they do that, like it would make sense for the show, I guess, but it would be such a divergence from his character arc.
I hope.
I don't think so. Here's the whole thing. Good. Why it's not Ezra? Okay. Yeah. How did he get here?
Well, that's what
because see, like they need to build this giant hyperspace ring with these 6 hyperdrives
just to take that jump.
In order to basically get to use the hyperspace lane that is between galaxies.
Yeah.
So, like Ezra would have had to have used something similar to get here. Because clearly you can't just get on
between worlds.
Clearly you can't just get on the Star Destroyer Chimera and fly back, because this ring obviously is going to dock with the Chimera, and the ring is going to bring the Chimera and Thrawn back, which I think is going to bring Thrawn and Ezra back.
That Ahsoka wore in this episode, that Mickey Mouse looking spacesuit, fly back, just ride in the back of a whale. That's that's what happened.
Or he could have used the world between worlds. That's a
little helmet intro at the beginning, and we were talking in chat. So the first week for parts 1 and 2, they showed all the helmets and robots and stuff like that, red and blue, and they showed, and you pointed out, and I think we all noticed that Marek's helmet was blue.
In the second one, in the first episode, it was red.
Bad guy.
In the first episode, everything was red, though.
Yes, the first episode, everyone was red, even R2D2.
Okay.
Everyone was red in the first episode. But I think all they're doing is, I think it's slowly transitioning to become, by the end, they're all going to be blue.
No, they have always meant something. So they were all red in that episode 1, but so was the Lucasfilm logo. And that's the first time that Lucasfilm logo has ever been red.
Yeah.
Since then, that Lucas logo has been the proper goldy silver color and hasn't been red again. So now in part 3, they got that same helmet intro, but they add in Sabine's helmet at the end, and it kind of transitions to like the orange to the red, and it's not blue at all.
Yeah.
And then Marok's helmet is blue again. So it's all correct. R2's blue, Vader is red, 3PO is blue. Like, the good guys are blue and the bad guys are red, so to speak. But now they're showing Sabine as red, so that's not by accident.
It is by accident. You guys are reading way too much into it.
Random.
What's going on is
So
if you
Sabine,
look at the
it's
Star
official.
Wars,
Sabine has turned into the dark side.
She's gonna be a Sith.
Marok is going to end
Star
up being
Wars logo,
a good boy, a good guy. But Hasbro streamed today when the lady in charge, I think it's Emily, she's like the marketing director for the Star Wars team. And that's her job. She doesn't design or, but her job is like she's the leader of the team.
Yeah.
When they were bringing up all the retro figures, and they brought up a whole bunch of retro figures, 3 times she referred to Marok as she and her. So I know it could just be a mistake, and it most likely is just a mistake, but there's also that. Happened.
That would
what
be
I'm
why.
going to say about this opening thing is if you look at the first episode, Star Wars was written in red, okay? Now Star Wars is written in red and blue twinkling, and as it shifts between red and blue, it turns yellow. So I think what's going on is these middle episodes are transitioning from red to blue. And what you're seeing is every episode they're adding one more character in that's blue. And it just so happened to be that Marok was the first one they turned blue. Now in this one they made 3PO and R2 blue. You know what I mean? And down the road, more and more characters will be blue, less will be red, until you get to the last episode of Ahsoka, where every single character will be blue and the Star Wars logo will be blue.
And do you think that's because eventually we're going to get that swerve that we've been talking about, where like they're all going to have to work together in the end?
I think so, yeah.
That would be a cool way to like transition us, if you're right.
So it's transitioning from all red to all blue, and we're seeing it slowly happen through each episode.
You might be onto something.
The red is for Canada, and the blue is for America. And both red and blue is the UK. So red and blue is also Australia. So they're very, very much includingism, as Rum might say. So welcome, G-Force, Orlando, Benjamin,
Mr. B.
What's up, Mr. B?
White Shadow. Yeah, so I like the retros. What'd you guys think of the?
Oh, I can't wait! I was online at 1:00 trying to buy them, and they're not up.
Really?
They're not up. Where are they?
They're not even coming up like next Christmas or something.
It said, but she said these will all be available tomorrow, August 30th at 1 p.m.
America
Eastern on Hasbro Pulse and all the different retailers.
It would make sense because here's again, they had a little half-hour presentation. They showed off a bunch of pictures of upcoming figures that Ed has in his hands right now. So that wave is out, right? It's coming out in the next few weeks.
It's coming.
It's hitting shelves. The only ones that they were able to pull from down below and put on display were the retros.
Yeah.
Like those, I don't think those were hand-carded, hand-painted, 3D printed prototypes.
No.
I think those are production run items.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're gonna have to wait a year to get those. I think they're gonna come pretty quick. Like
I think so
may
too.
Be some miscommunication, but it makes no sense to release it after the show completely fails and Disney gets canceled and sells Star Wars. It would be kind of silly.
11 million people for the debut. That's crazy, man. But
Benjamin, that's a good point.
Comes out in 2 weeks, like that Black Series helmet. 2 weeks.
A lot of them come out before Christmas, which is good. Benjamin makes a good point. I totally think if it's Ezra, he rode a whale. There's no other way because there's no other hyper loop things that we know of.
Yeah.
Or the world between worlds. That's the only other thing.
Old Jedi fighters had those hyper ring things.
But
so
the problem with the world between worlds thing is that Thrawn would have used it too. Then
he wouldn't be able to. He's not a Jedi.
Oh, you could just walk in with Ezra. Why wouldn't you?
We don't know that.
Thrawn,
you know what I mean? Like
we still haven't seen yet. The times we have seen him in the trailers.
Well, because
he's on the bridge of that donut ship.
Yeah, he is.
He could be there right now, but we know he's not. But I mean,
no. Once they do the jump and get there, that's when we'll see him on the ship. And I think John's right. I think what we were talking about in the first episode, last week on the discussion, I think that hyperspace ring is that big. So John, like John was saying, so the Chimera can dock inside the ring and they can jump back with the Chimera.
Yeah, like big Star Destroyers and stuff. It's huge, man. That thing was huge.
Really big. Yeah.
For a minute, what I'm getting at is that, oh no, it's going to be a Death Star.
No, if you're like, what I'm saying is though, is if your presumption is that Marek or whatever is Ezra, okay, then that and Marek is trying to get Thrawn here, okay. Well,
Marek's just doing what he's told.
If Ezra is Marek and he used the World Between Worlds to get here, why wouldn't he use the World Between Worlds to get Thrawn here if he's working for him?
Because if he
what I mean?
If he is Ezra and he's Marek or Marek, I think something would have had to happen to him. Maybe through if somehow some way he got back here in that process, it would. The one thing it would explain would be why that armor's so rusted out. It would be probably because he went back to Malachor and then took the armor from that was in Malachor. That was all just from that battlefield. So like that's the only thing I can think of. And like if during that process, maybe through time and space, like Morgan alluded to in the first episode, somehow, some way, Ezra forgot who he was or doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's the only thing I could think that they would like explain. I just hope it's not Ezra. Like, I'm hoping with everything.
Because I just feel like if Thrawn is stuck over there in another galaxy and Ezra's here,
Ezra would be there.
And now Ezra is saying, we need to get Thrawn here. Like, well, then why didn't you bring him when you came? You know what I mean? Like, however way Ezra got back, it's like, why did you leave Thrawn there then? That would be my question.
That would be the only thing I can think of.
You know,
and
now you're spending all your time working out this intricate plan to bring Thrawn here. Well, you should have done it when you came over the first time. Why didn't you do it?
So I agree. I don't think the Hasbro team knows stuff like.
Yeah,
there's still secrets like that.
It might not be anybody.
Secrets.
I don't think it's anybody.
He might be dead next week in that duel in the forest.
Because just like every other Inquisitor, I mean, every time an Inquisitor comes out with a helmet, everyone on the planet goes, "It's Barriss Offee, it's da-da-da, it's so-and-so, it's la-da-da," and it never turns out to be anyone.
They're not going to show Thrawn because he's not a helmet or a robot. They only show helmets and robots in that thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely not going to be Ezra.
Yeah, I don't.
But what confirmed that for me today, like separate of seeing a lot of other people, tell some theories and stuff like that. I think the Star Killer person theory is I think is a lot more realistic. And what made me realize that in this episode, while he's flying in a ship, he speaks his first lines that he's spoken. And do you recall what his line was? It's a line said in many Star Wars movies by a certain character.
By Vader.
All he said was, "As you wish."
Yeah.
So who says that? Vader. And Vader would be Starkiller's master. If that's the theory, eventually we're going to see Anakin's apprentice versus Vader's apprentice. And I don't know the Star Killer canon rule because he's a video game character, right?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, no video game anything is canon right now or has ever been inserted into a movie and exists.
Only
except
Fallen
for what
Order.
We've seen when it comes to these cartoon Inquisitors.
Fallen Order and Cal Kestis are canon.
I have not seen Cal Kestis in a Star Wars film or live action TV show.
He's going to be in this.
He's going to be in this. No non-canon video game characters like Star Killer, Cal.
He could be Cal for all we know. Like he very well could.
That woman Inquisitor with the tusks. They're not in the movies, so they're not canon to me. So with this Marek and Marok, however you want to pronounce this, there's 26 letters in the alphabet that Filoni and crew could pick from to spell that character's name. They made it the same on purpose.
Well,
One letter difference. Like there's a
but
reason.
do you know what? Do you know what
Because
Merrick
they're
is?
going to reintroduce that character to canon in a way. I think it just makes sense. And if it's not that character, then it's just a very stupid choice of name, and it's a waste. It's just.
But do you know
there to make stupidness?
They've been doing that all along. Like,
but that's stupid. That would make me cancel my subscription.
But do you know what it means? Like, do you know what the name means?
This is what pisses me off too. Is the High Republic's enemy is the Nihilists or whatever. Okay, the Nihil. It's not Nihil. The Nihil. Okay, and the main guy, Rochambeau or whatever his name is, that main guy. I was like, watch, he's going to turn into a character that they're going to name Darth Nihilus, because the Nihil and Nihilus is so close that why would you choose Nihil for the enemy group? I agree with that.
I think
for the enemy group, if you weren't going to introduce Nihilus.
Do you guys know what Marek means, though, like the name? Do you know what it's from? It's from an Arthurian tale of a knight who turns into a werewolf.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, Dave Filoni's a wolf guy. Trapper Wolf, Below Wolves, Balin and Shin.
That's the only reason his name is Merrick.
That's why he changed the spelling, I believe.
It has nothing to do
with I don't know.
Merrick, Starkiller, Merrick is not a mythical wolf from Norse mythology.
It's not Marat.
But if you change that I to it, but I know what you mean. And there's,
but you know what I'm saying? It's said differently, so I don't think it's the same
color. He's doing rookie things.
I think
they should have called him a disguised name, and it would have just been something we didn't waste 10 minutes freaking talking about, because he's either a nobody character or the most important character, and he'll be that big. It'll be Luke Skywalker, like, you know.
I've even heard Kanan thrown around, that it's a possibility.
Another dead guy coming back to life. Yeah.
You want to hear the funniest one, though?
It's nobody, though. None of these Inquisitors have ever been someone that we know, so it's still gonna carry on. It's gonna be nobody. They just love us talking about it.
So the best one I heard was, it's Maul's lower half with a robot body.
With a robot upper part, yeah.
Mace Windu's left arm. And because people don't die because of lightsaber blows anymore, like, it's totally realistic that it could be.
I mean, if it's Kanan, that would be huge, though. If it's Kanan, like, that would explain the full visor mask
for all the 20 and 30-year-olds who know him from the cartoons, but to the 68% of the people watching the show, they're like, who?
But his death was so important. Right? I feel like that would negate everything. Like, I would feel like that would throw out his whole character arc.
I like this idea. It's Blue Snaggletooth, yeah.
But I liked it when he said, "As you wish," in his little robotic voice. I'm like, okay, so of all the things that rhyme, and you call it that Dave.
But he says he gave a Vader
that's
nod.
A quote that's like Darth Vader's first line, even.
But I just think that was just more of the. I mean, 15 lines in this episode were from other things. I mean, Sabine said Luke's line. You know what I mean? So word for word. Things. You know what I mean? So, like, it's the same thing. He's just rehashing. And I think, but I mean, like, if you want to call it rehashing or hacky writing or whatever, but in my opinion, this episode was very Star Wars, because I loved right away. We get this shot of these A-Wings flying by, and I said all this stuff to you guys when I was watching it this morning.
Well, it wasn't right.
You know what I mean? And those A-Wings flew by the ships, and then they come by from a different angle and go by the bridge, and we kind of zoom in on that bridge, and we see the guys talking. And I'm just like, that was Star Wars to me. I loved, like, it sounds strange, but some of my favorite scenes from Return of the Jedi are just when you have an X-Wing flying through by the medical frigate, and it just flies by the Mount Calamari ship, Home One or whatever. And I just love seeing those exterior shots of them flying around. And
ready?
This definitely felt like a homage to George.
All right. It still works.
It definitely felt like an homage to George, and this, for all we know, this might have been episodes George was on set for.
The lines I like
It's
seeing
possible.
repeated, in honor and memory, are the lines that we kind of know. Like, oh, I got a bad feeling about this. Like that was said in the prequels and the sequels, and I believe even in the sequels. I could be wrong, but I mean that's it's a form of English, the basic language, whatever you want to call it in Star Wars land. But I mean, we know it. We know where it comes from. We know several characters have said it. So that's a cool line. So I haven't heard that. Hearing that would give me, cool feelings. But hearing Merrick say like one of Darth Vader's lines, because he's a servant to the Emperor, like that, I thought that was cool. Like, and in this episode, Sabine, not once did she call Ahsoka master. She called her Ahsoka several times. So I thought that was the dynamic there. I thought, I don't know.
But they also work together.
Sabine's going to turn evil. There it is.
So I did hear like an interesting thing that the possibility Sabine could actually be like related to the Night Sisters, and maybe that's how she's got like the Force. Is that maybe that's why she's red and the you know what I mean, like lineage wise.
Better be a Hammerhead.
It's cool they're making a Black Series Hammerhead.
Yeah, I saw
that.
Yeah,
we knew it was coming, though.
I was upset that it wasn't a vintage collection. I was like, "Come on, damn it! Why? I'm almost done with Black Series because of the price."
Yeah, I'm surprised they made like a witch female figure with no accessories, instead of a Hammerhead and all the lines. Like next Christmas, that'll still be on the store shelves because I won't buy that. I won't buy her in any shape or form. I just won't.
I can understand that.
If she turns into Darth Vader somehow and changes all of Star Wars history, like I still won't buy it. Like
she's doing a great job in the show, though.
She's doing a great job as a character. She's just not an action figure.
I like her. She's
Jurassic Park chick.
I would wait till she gets cleared. She's
not an action figure either. Like I don't remember her name, but the tall chick with the purple hair.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
she's not action figure quality. Like
that goes back to Kenner days, though. I mean, Kenner made the freaking
would
Anakin
not make
Skywalker.
Them. They never made Mon Mothma, so they're not going to make the Sith Witch.
They made Anakin Skywalker, the damn Force Ghost, into an action figure. They made the Imperial Dignitary. They made the Imperial Dignitary who does nothing. Like, why would you make those into action figures?
They should have gave her hands or something like with a power, or the spear even from Mando, like something. I would wait for her on clearance. She's a great figure. They did a really good job on her, but the fact that she doesn't come with anything, I would definitely wait for her on clearance.
So I'll start off. Here's my first. I thought I had a few more before this, but I don't think much is happening except for just two girls talking. But
well, we got her training with Huyang first before this.
Yeah.
Yes, and so there's about 10 photos that somehow didn't show up, but I don't get it, man. But so yes, we have the training with the Huyang, which I wish the photo was there, but it's not.
That was cool too, like with the light. I don't want to call it a lightsaber, but they were
like hologram lightsabers.
Yeah, like hollow saber, I guess you would call it. Like that was cool.
And I guess it was keeping score, like
recorded.
Every time she would hit it.
So recorded
like, why would she want to hit the lightsaber?
If she was going straight, if she was going straight through or at an angle.
Count the blows to the head and stabs to the belly. Those are the ones that do the damage. So yeah, it seemed weird. I was a little, I'm not gonna say uncomfortable with the scene, but it was like way too much samurai in the vibe, in the freaking helmet, in the sticks, in the lighting, in the music. And I'm like,
why?
Okay, so now this went more, it went more samurai than it ever gone before. It was cool. Like, I appreciate it for what it was, like a training montage, but I thought it was not Star Warsy and space samurai-y as opposed to.
It was perfect.
It was the same thing. But the name of this
I totally disagree. I think it was too Japanese and not enough space.
The The name of this technique, though, with her putting the mask on, it's actually named after a blind samurai.
But it's actually not, because it's from space and it's called Jedi. It's not.
No, but
there's no samurais
but that's where he got the name from.
And karates. There's none of that.
We're gonna see Tarakase down the line in this
different planets.
show.
So I thought
that's space karate.
Kind of weird. And her ship looks pretty big. I could be wrong though, but they're training and laying down and fighting and doing all this stuff on like the table that they eat at.
Well, it rises up.
She's standing on the kitchen table right now.
Yeah, it rises up and goes
and she's
down.
laying on it on her ass later on, and then later on they're drinking a bubble tea on the same table. I didn't see any robot come in and clean it.
You don't need to see a robot clean it. What the hell's what's wrong with you?
Just like Ahsoka's gone to the bathroom 3 times so far, but they haven't shown her go in the bathroom. They haven't, but we know she has. She comes over.
I like the training balls on the.
You need to see her go to the.
Did you notice there were training balls?
Yes, I wanted to see them use the training balls. They're way more modern than a stick.
The thing is if she had used the training balls, G-Force would be complaining even more. He's complaining that they just said the line that they used Luke Skywalker's line.
Well, here's how
they actually used the training balls. He'd be complaining even more.
Yeah, so I understand Dave can't just copy scene for scene, the training with Luke Jedi remote and the same lines, but he kind of is anyway. Like as soon as this happened, she's like, "Oh, how am I gonna see anything? I got a helmet on." I'm like, "Okay, so that you borrowed that, but then you went all different and you didn't use the training remote and you didn't use a lightsaber, which she clearly has."
No, she's using the
robot has a couple of dozen spares that could lend her.
But they're using the training sabers.
For real.
That's what they're using.
Fake train.
She wants to show her what she's doing, and like I said, the name of that technique is actually.
The thing is, she used a stick. She used a stick way back in the Rebels cartoon, even.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Why are you?
Remember,
Hera even complained about it.
Any Star Wars cartoons.
Hera was like, "Why is she using a stick and not a real lightsaber?" And Kanan was like, "I don't think she's ready for a lightsaber." And he's like, and Hera was like, "Were any of you guys ready for a lightsaber? Or so whatever, just give her a lightsaber."
10 years later now, is she ready now?
But see, I thought we were going to get a reference to Kanan in that scene. Like when she said, "How am I supposed to see?" I thought she was going to make a reference of either her or Ahsoka was going to make a reference. Well, Kanan couldn't see, and he could go on a goddamn computer and type if he needed to. But he was fine.
See, I just loved this scene. I loved everything about this episode. I have zero complaints.
Yeah, no, I don't have any.
Zero complaints about this whole show so far.
I love this.
It was full on Star Wars.
I feel different.
The A-Wings were flying by in outer space, going by the ships. That's total Star Wars. When the fighters were going after Ahsoka later on, and you could see that they were modeled after World War II Navy Corsairs, and then the way that they turned, they followed the exact movements of a famous Navy footage of the Corsairs flying through and shooting each other, and it was
So what I got about that is George copied that in the 70s, and no one noticed for 20 years. And they can't really give him shit for it 20 years later for stuff that's in the public domain.
That's why Dave is doing
now
it.
in 2023, you can't just go copy film footage and change it to be a spaceship. Well,
yes, you can.
Well,
that's what makes it look more authentic.
You can also use AI to do everything and not support people in the industry that
you're just complaining to complain now.
I know he is. Yeah.
I'm not. I'm disliking the show every episode so far. So I'm
you're not. Give me a break. I think
it look more authentic.
So
if you just had him willy-nilly flying around, it's like we're following no rules.
The whole theme of this show is Master and Apprentice, and that's what we're seeing from Dave and George.
No, that was the whole theme of episode 1.
No, that's the whole theme. That's the whole theme of
all title every episode. It's the main thing I didn't like about this episode was that it ended 8 minutes before it told something, or it accomplished something in the short story it was telling. And when it ended, I'm like, oh, you did that's just
It ended abruptly.
That's not a cliffhanger.
I thought.
It's like you lost the tape for the last 5 minutes. So to me, that's just piss poor. I'm going to call it writing. They should have not ended the episode there. So what they could have had a cliffhanger or something.
I think it's got more to do with the budget, though.
There's worse things that come up that I really got broken over. Yeah, but as John says, this is probably the best scene.
Yeah. I loved it.
The whole series so far.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was cool. The original Star Wars music kicked in a little bit here, and I like that because the original it's kind of gone. That music. There's new music. It's always there, and I like it. I like it because it's there. I didn't like how it was actually like in that training sequence. It was actually like Japanese music, so that was I thought that was a little odd. But then again, we got the didgeridoo, and we got we do have other cultural musics within the Star Wars universe now, so I get it.
The music has been fantastic. Kevin Kiner has killed this show with the music. I can't wait to listen to like the album of this when I
can't wait for the reggae episode.
This guy, planet. This guy's an Imperial.
No, it's Kaz's father from Resistance.
Which guy? This Asian guy?
Yeah, that guy's an Imperial.
Yeah, he's a dick. I hope he dies next episode.
He's Kaz's father from Resistance.
So yeah, he's a bad seed.
He's an Imperial. Whether he's Kaz's father or not, he's an Imperial.
No, he's not. He's just a dick. He stayed out of the war. And like even if you watch Resistance, he's the same character. Like literally, he didn't pick a side during the war, like Harris says here in this conversation. He literally sits the whole war out with his planet, and then once the war is over, he went with the winning side. And then he does the same thing during the First Order, the rise of the First Order and all that. He tries to, like, oh, we're not going to get involved. We're not going to get involved. But he's a dick the whole entire time, even to his son. So he's the same character. They're just introducing him now here. Genevieve O'Reilly, though, ages like fine wine, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And she
looked older in Return of the Jedi.
20 years have gone by since Andor, and it's not weird how she hasn't aged a day.
No,
at least 20 years. But it's a pretty cool scene. Like Hera acted a little bit, so she did her better acting,
and acted like Hera too. Like acted like the actress from. Remember, we were having this talk about like the Vanessa. What's her last name, John?
Williams.
How the disparaging between that in the first couple episodes, but in this episode, especially during this whole scene, I really felt like, ooh, that's Hera right there. And then the following scene after this, what we see, I really felt that. You know what I mean? Like the way she snapped back at him about like, you sat out in the war, you didn't fight.
Yeah, that was good on her character's behalf. I like that part about her.
He got her.
What I think happened here is. Mothma's like, okay, let me chat with these senators and we'll get back to you, right? And then they just went off to another part of the story. But what I think happened is Mon Mothma and the Ree's character, they voted to help, and the other three voted not to. So 3-2 vote. But that's what I'm going to say happened off the screen. Which
know what I think comes out
of this? My question is, how old can Ree's people be? Like, is that the same senator from episode?
Maybe.
2 when they were like were like the senator from Balatine or whatever from the Rees planet, Malakesh or whatever the heck the name was. I forget the name, but
I think this leads to Hera becoming Rogue Squadron. Like I think this is where we're going with this part of the story. She basically tells Sabine later on that like we got denied, I can't help. And so, like, I think her being forced to sit out is how we end up getting Rogue Squadron.
Be a rebel?
Well, she ends up joining with Leia when Leia splits from the New Republic.
Please don't make a spin-off show of this show. Oh, please don't.
No, but I could definitely see that this is where they're gonna go with that. And she is in charge of Rogue Squadron, even in the actual like books and stuff. So like. I think this is where we're heading. Is we're going to see her break away, and then maybe that's
another. So there was Rogue Squadron from Empire Strikes Back, and now there's And now there's another
the Rangers of the
Squadron
Republic
later
thing
on.
that never got off the ground.
Yeah, Rangers of the New Republic and the Rogue Squadron Patty Jenkins movie that didn't get off the ground. I could very easily see Hera, Carson Teva, Zeb, and a little cast of a couple other people be the Rogue Squadron that breaks away from the New Republic to help in this, what's going, what's ever going to be the conflict that they're going to run into.
So another thing in this show that I think is lacking. So this is the point where Mothma's told it's about Thrawn, and she's like, "Oh snap!"
I love how she like tries to like curtail Hera too. She like gives her the look a couple times, like, "Please don't fucking say that." And then she says, Hera snaps back, and Mon just kind of gives her like, you see it in her eyes and the face,
This is the second best part of this episode. This 3-second close up of him just standing there. But another thing that I find is lacking in this series, as well as it was the Kenobi show, that Rogue One had and Andor had, is when they finally do show a man character on screen, he's got to have like some chops or like a 70s or 80s kind of hairdo, because that's just because. And that's why I think part of the costume rental from Spirit Halloween at some point, like, they didn't get the proper wigs and stuff.
You are reaching so much on your complaints, it's not even funny. Like,
I spent more money on groceries last week than this show spent on costumes.
Nitpick. Here,
we get to meet
talk
the kid
about
now
my man, Jason,
with the green hair.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know his name, but it's Hera's son.
Jason Syndulla, and it's spelled the same way as Jason Solo, and he's got the same haircut, so keep that in mind down the line. That's what I mean. I think he's going to take the Jason Solo storyline.
Yes, he's stolen the name and the legend story in a way. You're right.
And our good friend,
he wants to be a Jedi.
Well, our good
like
friend,
Uncle, or no, Aunt
father.
Bean, he called her, right?
Yeah, and his father.
So clearly, he dies. He dies when Kylo Ren leaves and kills all the kid Jedis. So,
I don't think so. I think we're going to see him someplace else.
I don't find out.
I don't think he's going to Luke.
Sure, they are.
I think that's what we're going to see.
Some art in the credits would be cool again. Like that was a fantastic segment at the end of The Mandalorian, and I think the Book of Boba Fett did it as well. And didn't Kenobi have it too? They all had some art in the credits. Yeah. But Mando started it, and I loved that, man. Like, and then you can see, like, okay, Filoni got the guy to draw this beast doing this, and then you reckon that's almost exactly how the scene turned out. Like, I like seeing that stuff, man.
And Eric pointed out the shoulder pauldron that's got his dad's logo on it, the same shoulder pauldron that Kanan had.
But he's got a shoulder pauldron on both sides.
Yeah, but the one side's the Rebels logo, and Eric showed in this.
Okay. I see what you're saying. The
logo
is.
He's got like a smaller version of his dad's like pauldron on his one side, and it's got that like 3-claw. You know how Kanan had like that 3-claw mark that was up the one side. That's what he's got on too. So like I thought that was
Where does he hide his head testicles?
His what?
His head testicles.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like so is that must be a total recessive gene, where like.
Well, he looks like Kanan. Is he just got the green?
Whose side of the family did he get the green hair from?
It's supposed to, I guess, reflect Hera's.
But what I'm getting at is human DNA must take over and make ears, and the Leku are recessive, so they disappear when you mix a Twi'lek and a human. You know what I mean?
It's weird. It's weird. The milkman is the dad or something. I know this kid's gonna be a part of the story in the future, and future cartoons and stuff down the road. So, it is what it is. Like, of course, you gotta have children. They gotta reach in space.
We could be seeing him, Grogu, and Ragnar teaming up down the line.
And his babysitter, Choppa.
His hair still dyed. I don't know why people are thinking it's not. It's green right there.
It is. It was quite green.
It was because of the Lego. Yeah, Lego had it brown, but I guess Lego was. I don't know if they made a mistake or they were just trying to like cover it up in some way in the set reveal. But that's why everyone was freaking out, was because in the Lego set his hair was brown, and then obviously we see
Well, I don't think his hair is necessarily like naturally green. I think that they dye it. Like as a kid. I dyed my hair blue for most of my life. It doesn't mean I was born with blue hair.
Yeah, no, and I mean Sabine.
That's a good point, John. Like Sabine dyes her hair, but I don't think little children do. Because
what do you mean? I did. My hair's been blue my whole life.
Were you 4 years old with blue hair?
Yeah.
That's why, because you kept dyeing it.
Yeah, that's why it's gone. Yeah.
So here they're raising up the dining room table from the floor so they can drink some tea on it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Another reason why I'm not loving this show is honestly there's way too much of just Ahsoka dialogue, period. I don't want to hear her speak about anything.
You're just
adding nothing to
this. Isn't helping ratings. You know that. Like that's not helping ratings.
Well, I'm not here to pump Disney ratings.
No, I'm talking about the show, our show.
I didn't know you could rate these shows. Another one, because I got something to say about almost every one of these scenes. There's like a screenshot of. Because I haven't found one yet that wasn't on stagecraft. But this to me looked like a high school musical kind of.
Oh my goodness! Play. What's wrong with you?
Because she's talking to nobody. You realize that there's nobody there. There's not an actor. It's probably a CGI robot later. So Rosario is just acting to a camera and a window that has ladders and stuff outside it. Probably like I don't think she's acting as good as she can act, and I understand it can't be easy when you're just in a little wooden. I don't know.
It was totally fine. I don't know what you're. She had one line of dialogue here, and then she called.
This was a 4-minute scene, just like the training.
This was an important
12-minute scene.
This was a very important.
50% of this episode was Ahsoka talking.
Yeah, but see, so in this episode,
show called Ahsoka. What the hell? Do you not want Ahsoka in it? I mean,
no. I was hoping they'd kill her off in a.
Why are you watching it then?
So this whole scene was important because Hu Yang's asking, why are you training this girl when the Jedi Order itself would have never trained her? And Ahsoka tells him, because I want her to be herself. I don't want her to be a Jedi. I don't need her to be a Jedi. I just need her to be herself. And then Hu Yang makes a point to say, very few Mandalorian ever became Jedi, and now we know.
I want him to talk back to her more because he's my little bit of savior. I hope
he was funny this whole episode multiple times, and then even in the training montage where like Ahsoka was like, "You told her that," and he's like, "Well, it's the truth." Like,
it's the truth, yeah.
And then the line about you come from a long lineage of Jedi that didn't walk like they're not your typical Jedi. And then if you really trace that back, Yoda.
How do you take that? Yeah, because I didn't.
Qui-Gon.
No, because she comes from Anakin, and that's it.
No.
The line is Anakin.
No, all the way back because Yoda.
The line goes all the way back to Yoda.
Yoda doesn't follow the. Yoda doesn't follow the rules.
And Ahsoka's not
related.
Yes, he is.
To.
Who are they related to? Anakin's related to.
Obi-Wan trained Anakin. That's a lineage, a line of people. That's what he's talking about. He's literally talking about Yoda.
Yeah. Yoda doesn't follow the rules.
So all of those people, who were the troublesome Jedi?
All of them.
Anakin, only in Ahsoka.
No.
He wasn't a troublesome Jedi.
Dooku went bad. First of all, Qui-Gon never followed the order. Like, what are you talking about right now?
That's why Qui-Gon wasn't a master.
Yeah.
It's like you would be a master if you followed the rules.
It's not that they're disgruntled.
What was the word?
It's not that they're disgruntled. They're unordinary. They're not your typical Jedi, and that's what he's
they're unorthodox. Yeah.
He's referring to that you come from a long line of Jedi that didn't really follow the rules. And guess what? And that's what Ahsoka basically is looking for. She doesn't want to be.
I understand it. I just don't understand it past.
Yeah, no, Anakin. It's a long line of lineage because each trained the next.
Right, so that's.
But that's not what he's talking about. Anakin was a troublemaker. Obi-Wan was a troublemaker. Qui-Gon was a troublemaker. Dooku left the order and went and took his knighthood back. Come on, man. That's what he's talking about.
And Yoda barely followed the rules. Yoda used to bend the rules all the time.
And Yoda blamed himself at the end for all of this because it was he took it upon himself that he was responsible for all of this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you see in Clone Wars that Yoda did have a little bit of a rebellious side.
Raise the bar if they want.
Oh my God!
Like Ahsoka, people that liked Andor to like this show, or people
you don't
that
have
like
to.
Mandalorian.
Andor wasn't a good show.
I loved Andor.
I've
watched Andor.
Whoever won the Grammy Award for Best Line Dancing Album this year, that line dancing album has to be better. Do you know what I mean? It can't be worse. This show got 11 million people watching, and we're barely cracked 3 million of them watched it 4 times each.
It doesn't matter. 11 million versus barely 1 million. You tell me what the audience is and who's watching this show. A lot more people than Andor. I could tell you that for a fact.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, a lot more people. The numbers prove it.
There is no numbers because Disney has never disclosed numbers.
11 million people watch this show. 11 million. Andor didn't break 1 million people.
It
was one of their lowest
Disney
shows.
does not share viewership with the public or its members.
Look at the numbers. They announced it yesterday, didn't they? They announced it yesterday. They announced it yesterday. 11 million
yesterday is that 14 million people watched the debut of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
That's all they said.
14 million people. You know what Last of Us was drawing? You know what Last of Us was drawing? 8 million roughly an episode.
People watched Kenobi.
So twice the amount of people.
14 million people watched that.
Twice the amount of people of the biggest grossing show of the year. So take that into consideration. How many people actually watching this? No. Last of Us.
There's no income. They don't make income on TV shows.
I'm not talking about income. I'm talking about viewership. When you get 14 million people watching at one time, that's unheard of at this.
No one said that. Also, never said at one time.
Not one time in 6 days. That's unheard of for shows these days. You don't get that. You don't even get those ratings until like Super Bowl time or World Series time for stuff nowadays.
Because no one watches that shit 5 times in a row like us. Like, I'm not a fan, and I still watch this damn episode 3 times.
Still, though.
That counts on their counter, you know. Ka-chink. How many times do you think Star Wars Meg watched this show? 1, 2, 3, 4,
she's not even, 6. I don't even think she's a real person.
How many times did you watch this show?
I think she's a robot.
How many times did you watch this episode?
This new one?
Yeah. I watched it twice.
I watched this one twice, yeah.
Because as soon as I got done...
views between the 4 people. But anyway, let's.
As soon as I got done watching it the first time, I was like, I gotta watch that again. So I went and got lunch, came back and watched it again while I was eating lunch.
Yeah, I watched it.
It was so good.
Time with the subtitles in case there
was short. So I definitely watched it again because after I got done, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna run that back.
So I saw usual Mike did the news this morning. I watched the Star Wars retro news, and he made a comment on the retro collection Sabine action figure, how she didn't have boob armor. I wonder if Mike watched this episode to see how big Sabine's boobs really are. She doesn't have boob armor, Mike. Not necessary. She's not broke tan. But do you think Sabine is gonna be pushing coffee cups around with the Force anytime soon?
I think we're going to see it.
I think I'm leaning towards what you guys said the other day was that the first time she really uses the Force and touches with it is when she's in this fight with Shin.
I think next week.
I really do.
With the short hair fight.
Yeah.
Because
we see her do this.
I actually like what they're doing here. It's kind of like what I was saying, where if Sabine gets to use the Force, it's got to be a struggle for her to get to that point because she doesn't have the natural talent. We haven't seen that in the past,
and that's what we saw in this episode.
She's really got to work to make that connection and open her mind, and that's why I like these scenes in this episode because she didn't move the cup. She couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? So when she finally does. When she finally does later on during that fight, like you were saying, you think that's where it's going to be, it's going to mean something. You know what I mean? And I really do think that and it makes it a better story for her than just suddenly being able to use the Force right now.
And it really, they really hammered home the fact too that like she even says to Ahsoka, like, I've never felt the Force. Like, I don't even know what it feels like. So Ahsoka spent all this time because she saw something in her, and obviously the ability that she could eventually connect to the Force. It's just she's got to be willing to. And I think we're seeing that maybe that's why those Mandalorians couldn't get past that, because of the way they're bred and brought up. The Force isn't a natural thing to them because they're taught differently when they're young and grow up.
Yep.
Like, this is very cool to see. This is something George actually explained, like, in his own writings about the Force and, like, how it could be adapted. And we're seeing it for the first time that somebody's actually having to work to get there. It's not just Rey, where, oh my God, she's the most powerful Jedi that ever existed.
Natural talent,
We're seeing this girl struggle and go through the trials. And I think when we do get, like John was saying, when we get that payoff of her actually connecting and being able to use it, it's going to be so huge, and we're going to feel that way with her that, like, all of us could at some point tap into, like, that's the mindset behind it of, like, it doesn't matter what lineage you're from. It doesn't matter who your parents are. It matters if you can follow the teachings. If you can
brought that up. From the cartoons, does Sabine have a sister?
No. Her mom, though, is friends with Bo-Katan. Her mom was
she had a brother. She had a brother, an older brother.
So she for sure did not have a sister?
No, just a brother.
So. It's an older brother.
But she was from a family, right? The family Wren or Clan Wren.
Yeah. Clan Wren, which was House Vizsla. Yeah.
There's another weird name. So we got Kylo
Ren.
From
House Vizsla, though.
No W, and we got Clan Wren with a W.
Yeah.
Created by the same people, kind of. No, I guess not really.
But her house, her family's under Vizsla, so like it would make
dialogue. Right before Ahsoka left the room here, they were talking about the Force, and you dove in that a bit. Ahsoka said something to Sabine after their training, and she said, "Oh, it's getting there, but it looks like only the anger or your frustration is gonna bring it out, or something in that kind of manner."
That it's easy to
and desperation to,
and that's the dark side.
And as soon as she said that, I'm like, that's how the Force is going to come out of Sabine now. Now that her helmet's red in the intro, Ahsoka actually, that dialogue was spoke similar to dialogues we've heard in the past about the dark side.
Well, that's what you
anger leads to hate.
It's an easier path. It's an easier path than that. It's not as
rhyming. I just think it's an opportunity for the character that I'm liking so far the best in the show has been Sabine. Just because she's a little badass, she's younger, she's artistic. It's just, I don't know, she's got a cool Mando helmet. She knows how to wield a stick. It'd be kind of interesting if she's going to be that character who we see, possibly makes a turn. If not, maybe just get tempted. And that's why I brought up where if she had a sister or something, maybe that young, Sith apprentice chick could be in a way.
It's very. I mean, that could. We don't know anything.
Ren? My uncle's name is Joe Ren.
Well, she knows. She knows her name's Ren. She went and she told her go see Sabine Wren on the fall.
It's Kybo.
Yeah, she definitely knows the names and stuff. And
Ren's been in Star Wars. Ren has been in Star Wars almost as long as Star Wars has been Star Wars, because Kybo Ren from Droids.
Kybo Ren, exactly. Yeah, the big fat dude.
Yeah.
So we also know from one of the early trailers in this forest fight, which I'm assuming all of this happens in episode 4 now, because they're on that planet.
Yeah, I love that. That
we've seen in the
they go to land, and I'm like, oh, that's the planet. We're
gonna wait one more
so
week.
We're gonna see one of them die. I think whether it's Marok or it's Balin. I really hope it's not Balin, simply because.
Why don't you think it's the female that's gonna die?
It's not her. I don't think.
See, I still think it is. I thought so last week.
I don't want Shin to die, it is, but
I don't want either one of them to die without knowing more about them. We gotta know. We gotta know their story.
That's why I think Marok is here. I think Marok is a regular Inquisitor, and he's the one that's going to die because he's just cannon fodder.
Yeah, it could. I think you're right, John. I think he's going to be the one, unless maybe we get the reveal next, like who it is next episode, if there is one. But we definitely know from the trailers we're seeing the duel with Sabine fighting Shin and Ahsoka fighting Marak in the forest, and then we see Ahsoka by herself against Balin and we get the Anakin line about, you know.
All those,
here's what I think is going to happen now.
By the way,
both
those
gonna
weren't
die,
all
both the
HK droids,
Siths,
were there? There were
and the
people
only one
with
that's
them,
going
right?
to survive is Marek and the witch.
It's possible.
That's how I see it going on.
Yeah.
I think there's too much for the both of them to just kill them off right away. I think there's a lot we need to learn about them and who they are.
Also added nothing to this story at all. They're just dark clothes wearing.
Oh, come on! Every time Ray Stevenson is on screen, even at the very end of this episode, he's just on screen for a split second, and that man exudes like you're just immediately drawn to his character, and I want to know more about who this guy is.
He had one line this week.
Still,
go to the forest and find him. And who's that he's talking to? Pikes?
And did you see how he's like, his facial expressions tell so much about the character, and I still think there's a lot more to Balin that meets the eye. I think he's got his own agenda, and I don't know if he's gonna follow through with like what Morgan wants all the way. I think maybe when you see that confrontation with him and Ahsoka, I feel like he's gonna try to pander to Ahsoka and be like, hey, this is what I want to do. Are you with me or not? And then that's maybe when they end up dueling. I think he's gonna try to double cross.
I think there was actually, I believe that he's going to live till the end, and I think there was a lot more planned for his character, and it's just that's why it's so tragic and unfortunate that he passed away.
That's going to be a shame too. We were talking about that last week.
They're like, we can't do what we planned on doing because the actor passed away, and they're going to have to alter the.
And you could have gave him his own little spin-off after this, like a prequel to show his back.
I just think they had a lot more. I think they had a lot more planned, and that's why he's going to live to the end of the show, and that's why it's really tragic and unfortunate that the actor died, because now they're going to be like, we're going to have to change and alter our plans. If any of that stuff fits in, it's going to have to be with a different character. Yeah, and maybe if Shin is alive at the end, they move some of that stuff to Shin's character. If she's still alive at the end, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know how they planned this out. You know,
I think
it's going to be interesting, though. I think they're both
going to kill Balin, because I think we see it in a trailer where she stabs him in the belly. I don't think they don't show it, but it's obviously it's about to go in her belly, and then they cut to another scene, and we see
she's holding his lightsaber with her hand.
And she's doing some force pushing too in one of the clips, and then we see Sabine laying on the ground, looks like she's about to get slayed by Shin, and then Sabine uses her hand, and I think there for maybe the first time, because of fear or whatever, she'll be able to do a little force push or something. But I think Sabine will kill that Shin girl, who's also a Padawan, but like I said last week, Sabine's getting her payback for getting stabbed in the belly. Even after 1 hour of training,
I don't see how either one of them. I think Marak is the dead man next week.
Because I know for a fact that there are more bad guys to come in this season of Ahsoka.
Yeah,
and they're not all blue.
No, I don't even think Thrawn. Like, I think so. Like, a lot of the things that we didn't talk about last week was that stuff that like we were talking about in the group chat. The Zepho are really heavily involved in the ruins that were on that Dathomir planet. The story how one lived on Dathomir and they left for another galaxy when the Zepho were done here. There's a lot of ties in with the world between worlds and the Mortis gods. It's very possible that this new galaxy where we're going, that's where they're from or they're at now. Yeah. And it's very possible like we could be introduced to a whole galaxy that is the world between worlds. Like, it could literally be a whole new interpretation of something we've never seen. There's a lot of
a different stagecraft location for that shoot.
I think it'd be interesting to bring in another sect that uses the Force.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying.
That'd be cool for sure.
Yeah,
we could see.
We've got the Jedi, the Sith, and the Dathomir.
And then, like in the books, Thrawn had like a lizard that kind of blocked the Force, the Yassalamaris or whatever they're called.
Calamari, yeah.
I don't think that's canon, like in a book.
It's
Again, it's a
not.
book.
We've never
But I
seen
mean,
a
I thought that was
Salmarian
cool in the
canon.
book. Like it gave him a little bit of an edge.
It was cool, yeah.
So it'd
But
be
like,
neat to see
I
something
definitely
like that.
think I definitely think we could see the Yusong Vong or the Grisk, whichever one he ends up going with.
I never liked the Yusong Vong, so I hope
I
we
think-
don't see them.
I think
I
we'll
think-
see neither.
I think we could see the Vatican, the builders, from Kodor. They're the ones that make the most sense for this whole entire thing, especially because it ties in with Andor too, and that Kyber crystal Luthen had. So
Yeah,
like, it's a very real possibility that we could find that empire out here, and like they're Force users. So it'd be very interesting.
So these ships are pretty cool, don't you think, John?
Oh, I loved these ships. Yeah, I
like at least the two Sith fighters because they had a little bit more beef to them, and they had those little flat things on the wings that the other ones were just.
This is
flat.
very
but,
much.
It looked like an airplane from the front, really.
Yeah, this one also has a lot of Grievous in it. You know.
Yeah, like the Grievous ship because he was falling back.
Exactly.
And also a little bit of like Sebulba's pod racer, just in a way that those wings are down low.
Yeah.
As opposed to like in the middle or.
But then the other ones in the background that you got that have flat wings and they have the tail fin pointing down. Those are very much like the Navy World War II Corsairs.
Oh, exactly. And it sounded like the bombers too.
Yeah, yeah.
When you posted that video, the first thing I saw was like a bomber coming in. Wow! I'm like, there's where Dave designed that ship, you know.
Yep, exactly.
Or Rick Fujiyama or whoever designed that ship. I thought they looked pretty good. I liked them.
I was just I was like, give me some toys, please. Vintage collection.
Isn't this the Lego set that was revealed a month ago?
Yeah.
But you don't really see that look of the ship.
We're getting Ahsoka's ship is a Lego, and I think one of these is a Lego.
I think they can do better with their targeting screens. We all know what targeting screens in Star Wars universe look like, and none of them, from what I know, look like this. But I tried. And are these pikes?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they'd be a cool figure, though.
The two pilots they showed had different.
They're definitely alien. Yeah, they're definitely
like the same creatures.
They're definitely something with Morgan.
Yeah, same. And those were pikes, weren't they?
No. They're these guys, whatever they are. No, they're not in the same helmet. It's different. They're some other kind of species. I think G-Force messaged me about this last night too, and was like, "Have we seen these guys before?" And I was like, "Not as far as I know."
Yeah, I'm gonna call them pikes until you guys can.
Well, we saw the guy that was. That's what I'm saying. There was a guy there with the HK droids when Balin said, "Go find him."
Yeah.
That guy was wearing the same kind of armor that the guy was wearing. That one of those guys was wearing in the city from Mandalorian.
I took a screenshot of it. There was an army of them. There was more than one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
I'm not familiar with what this is or what species this is, but it definitely looks
I don't know what species they are. Yeah. They gotta take their helmets off so we can tell.
and I had to get a cockpit shot of Marak.
And all his rust that came in a week. He spent 1 week on a planet, and his whole armor rusted completely.
I don't know. I'm digging this character. I just think he or she is somehow a chicken shit. Like they chicken shitted in the last episode, and I don't know. He took one big effort in the space battle. Other than that, it was all Shin felt like she was doing most of the attacking and Risk. So
the one thing
seems like she's in charge of him in a way.
Well, yeah, he calls her. He says, "As you wish." Doesn't like you pointed out. But then
dialogue
during that scene, there's a focus shot. Even the subtitles made you pay attention to it. That he looks off at the Purgo. Shin doesn't divert her attention once during the Purgo. He actually looks off and just you catch him a couple times staring at them. So
looking up.
That's subtle. It's a subtle hint. And
they did make it look like there was they did show one in the clouds. It wasn't obvious, this is in the first episode when they first.
Oh
got
yeah,
there.
in the Balin
They
episode.
showed like a black shadow up there.
Yeah.
This was the
We
first
all
time
know it was a whale, but maybe he didn't know, right?
Well, now we see them up close and personal, and then we learn at the end of the episode that that's how they actually charted the hyperspace lanes, was following the Purrgil.
The Purrgil.
So that's very interesting. And Hu Yang, being as old as he is, he had that information, which was something we never knew as in the Star Wars universe. So as much as you say that there was a lot of nonsense in this episode, there was a lot of knowledge in this episode of stuff that we had no privy information to.
Yeah, I'm totally thinking there's some form of pikes. All I see is familiarities to the helmets that the pikes wore, and then they took them off in Boba Fett, and we saw what they looked like as aliens. But before that, no, they were just mercs and helmets. You know.
Yeah, I think there's something else.
I thought that freaking Ahsoka's ship is pretty badass. Those were
it's looking cool. Now
those
that we're
were
seeing
some really good shields.
Yeah.
They took a pounding.
Oh,
man.
dude, they took a pounding from these little fighters to
Yeah.
begin with, but then they took all those huge blaster cannons from the big donut ship.
Yeah,
That was like blowing it like every 3 seconds, and
because like a lot of other ships we've seen in Star Wars, they get shot by like 3 lasers and they're blown up. Even these little ships, when she returns fire, like 4 or 5 hits and they explode. You know what I mean? So it's like
I have to give Filoni some credit for this. They got this right. The bad guys shoot green lasers and the good guys shoot red lasers.
Yeah,
Which
I like how
it was weird and backwards, but that is the way.
I like how this has a Boba Fett like aspect to it too, where the cockpit can stay stationary and the outside can spin, or the inside can spin and the wings can stay stationary. That's a cool little feature about it.
I love that too.
Was like that as well.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
Rick, you were paying attention, right? You know, Star Wars Empire and Return of the Jedi, you know why it's backwards, right? Because in the prequels, the clone troopers were shooting green, blue and green. And the good guys from the prequels become the bad guys by the time you get to Star Wars. So in the prequels, they shoot green and blue.
They're all dead. So
we don't know that.
Bad guys because they're all dead.
We haven't seen Rex.
I'm not saying the actual clone themselves. I'm saying the equipment they use. So the equipment that the good guys used in the prequels becomes the equipment that the bad guys use in Star Wars Empire and Jedi. So in the good guys' equipment in the prequels were shooting green and blue lasers. Yeah. And then by the time they get to Star Wars, the good guys' equipment is being used for the Empire and therefore shoots green.
Are there X-Wings in the prequels?
No. The X-Wings were built by the Rebels.
I'm going to have to look into that, John.
The Republic.
That was the whole thing. And the Empire is using green because they consider themselves the good guys still.
Well, their canon reason is because they get the power from different things. I don't know the things, whether it's crystals or, dinosaur eggs from Daku. I don't know. There is a reasoning for it, but we'll have to look it up. But yeah, just thought I'd point that out. Green lasers for the TIE fighters and red lasers for the X-Wings.
Yeah.
But here's our Luke Skywalker, flyboy scene, which I thought was good, and I liked that callback. There's a lot.
I like that the ball. I like that the whole unit that was firing, the ball unit and everything was almost entirely the same from the Clone Wars era.
Yeah.
It was like the ball that was on the Republic. The Republic landing craft had that ball.
Like the gunship.
Yeah.
This is totally possible, G-Force. Like I don't know, but I don't think they do it on purpose. I don't know. Maybe when someone loses an arm.
I don't know. We still got 4 ships explode during this scene.
What are you guys talking about? No saber deaths. We watched the whole ship get cut down by Balin and Shin in the opening scene of the show. Come on, guys. Give me a break with this shit about the complaining.
We just saw 4 ships explode.
Every single one of those rebel soldiers, for all we know, survived.
They did not survive.
Dude got hoisted up
there. They were all on stretchers.
Yeah, they
were all being tended to.
I don't know what show
Well, they
you were
were.
watching, but
There
I
was
saw a
people on
bunch of them
stretchers.
die.
There was
I saw a
people
bunch
on
of bad
stretchers.
men.
Were they just injured from falling down the stairs? Like, if you can take a lightsaber blow to the belly, you can take a blaster blow to the shoulder or to the leg or to the thigh. Like, come on, man.
And I saw 4 ships explode in this episode. I don't know about anybody else, but I saw 4 ships.
And they were all.
And that's
those
how many. And that's
Mike.
how many ships blew up in Star Wars when they escaped the Death Star.
Dave Force is right. They didn't show anybody die.
They literally watched. You watched them cut them down. Come on.
Yeah, they're dead.
They're all
But
dead.
I'm liking Sabine,
Yeah.
man. I hope, man, it'd be great if Sabine turned to the dark side and she fucking killed Ahsoka. That would make my day. Well, here's that scene from the.
Your pictures are out of order. Yeah.
It's not my fault. But yeah, man, she's lean and mean, and I don't get the purpose of this exercise. Why she's purposely hitting the lightsabers as opposed to head blows, or But it was cool.
You've never taken a martial art in your life?
No,
He doesn't like karate.
I'm bigger than all the people that take martial
Really?
arts.
What?
Yeah. That's what he keeps saying. Hey, he's complaining about the Japanese influence on this, and that's what's very heavy about Ahsoka. It always was.
Every kid in my neighborhood took some form of martial art when they were growing up. Taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, kung fu, whatever, karate.
But
Like
when I was a
everyone
kid,
took
none of
something.
that shit existed. It was like brought here from Bruce Lee from China in the late 70s. So it wasn't. It was karate was around, but all the other things became new. But this is cool, I guess. Now that we know the scale of it,
Eye of Sion,
just huge, man. It's massive.
Yeah.
and named after a Sith Lord too, Darth Sion.
And now we know that she is on the bridge of that, then the very top.
At the very top.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, Murphy.
Well, we knew that from before, didn't we? I thought.
So what kind of elevator ride does it take? Like, whoa, go all the way around.
Yeah.
Imagine like having I gotta go down to the lower hangar and like literally walk.
Are there
away.
are there like a whole bunch of
Injured.
droids like all over the place? Like, is this whole thing run by droids?
It's pretty
You know what I
wild, eh? Well, after seeing how the Death Star was built with all those drones and robots and stormtroopers in space, it'd be kind of neat to see a little bit more of the whatever techniques were used to build this. So we saw a ship come in and kind of float in the engine. That's all we kind of really got to see. Maybe
I think we saw some droids though working on like the outside while they were, because like that casing was like open while they put the tube, while they put the hyper engine in
there.
and it looked like there was like some kind of like little droids like actually like piecing it back together when it was going in.
I wonder if if it's ready to go now, or just still another big.
I think we get the jump. Like I think
turbo engine coming.
I think they're gonna jump next episode. Like at the end.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think so too. I think some lightsaber duels are gonna happen early.
Yeah,
and then we get moving.
It's a long episode too. Next week, it's like another 46-minute episode, 47-minute episode. So I'm interested to see like how does Ahsoka and Sabine jump with them on this, or are they gonna have to hitch a ride with a Purrgil? Like that's gonna be the interesting part. Is like how are they gonna?
I think they're gonna come back. I think they're gonna jump over there, get Thrawn, and come back.
You think
maybe
so?
even within the same episode? Yeah.
You want me to break the internet?
They're not going to stay in the other galaxy for 4 or 5 episodes. No way.
They have no choice. They have no choice.
That 6th episode is
one-way ticket. As far as I'm concerned right now.
I guarantee they're in the other galaxy for that episode, and we get the Anakin in that episode.
Are you ready for me to break the internet?
Left Coast Theory.
So their ship got disabled, because it got blasted like 382 times by the giant turbo Death Star cannons on the donut ship, but they survived. The robot
and somehow Hu Yang gets
killed the battery.
Shot too. Somehow he's inside the ship and he gets shot.
Dave decided I'm going to break Star Wars again and do stupid shit like this. So I'm officially statement here. So give me 1 second. This is by far the fucking stupidest thing I've ever seen in any Star Wars anything, incling cartoons, commercials.
Me and John do not endorse this Rick statement.
Fan-made cartoons, porno that's fake porno with Star Wars. This is by far the stupidest thing I've ever seen happen in Star Wars is someone go put on a 3-head-tailed freaking astronaut suit and not have gravity boots or nothing.
She's
She
got
did
magnetic
jump from
boots.
wing to
She
wing and do a
she literally-
backflip.
Oh
and
my
cut
God!
a wing
Forget.
off
She's
a
got
plane.
magnetic boots.
She's
What are
literally-
you
Apparently
talking
not,
about?
because now she's floating.
She literally sticks back to the ship. You don't watch her feet literally suction cup back, and then she walks down the wing of the ship.
Yeah.
This is why I give this episode a 5 out of 10 is because
Oh
of this
my
scene
God.
only.
You're
If
outta
this
insane.
scene was not in this, I might have gave it a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 because I thought the space battles were cool. But this is stupid.
No,
Nope,
this-
They
This is
can't even
harking
draw
back-
this in comics
This is
because I
harking
know
back to
people
Clone
reading it are
Wars.
going to go,
yeah.
no one's going to believe
She
that.
she wore that outfit in Clone Wars before. Her
No,
and
it was a
Anakin
big
both went
bubble
into
in
outer
the Clone
space.
Wars. I went and Googled it today. It was
No.
not a 3-head-tailed soft
She-
goods.
This
stupid
whole
ass.
scene was a literally an ode to Clone Wars because it happened multiple
So
times.
they should have left it in the Clone Wars. Then no one like me would have ever got to see it
It's
again.
fine. It's a good scene.
Yeah, it
It's
was a good
cool
scene.
She
And
cuts
she had
down.
magnetic boots.
Yeah.
I mean,
It looks cool here without the helmet.
And the reason she flew off, when this started out, I was like, oh, they better not have her just stand on the ship and start like blocking blaster bullets, because what's going to happen is physics. If the magnets are weak enough to where she can lift her leg and step on the next spot, then blaster bolts hitting her, even if she uses the lightsaber to deflect them, should eventually make her fall off the ship.
Should.
And I was like, and then when she fell off the ship, I was like, okay, they did it right. She successfully deflected the blast, but it did make her fall off the ship. So I was like, it's cool that they actually did it. And then I liked that Sabine raised the wing to get her back on, It was
And I
cool.
like
It was
that they specifically showed her boots
Yeah.
connecting and then her walking down.
walking down. Yeah.
It's just the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And even if it was a cartoon, I'm like, well, that's okay. It's a cartoon. I guess you could.
You're just complaining to complain.
I think he is, yeah.
Just complaining to complain. You and G-Force just complaining to complain.
Yep.
No, I'm complaining because that was actually pretty stupid.
No.
And then we got more dialogue, girl on girl dialogue.
This was totally a Star Wars episode, 100%.
And
I loved it.
All Star Wars episodes.
No, they're not.
It says right here. It says right up here. The title Star Wars. Then we
Yeah,
get the
but
space whales,
This was peak
which is
Star
exactly what the Doctor Who droid called them, as space whales. So I'm correctly canon calling them space whales
Yeah, the Purgo.
or space whales.
That's what they are.
He calls
which is
them
from
both.
Star Trek. No, but they look cool. Like
Yeah.
there's so many of them.
That's,
This battle
why
went on.
that's why this
10
episode was so short because they had to.
I thought for sure that one of those like tail tentacle things was going to go like and like whap one of the
And help
Sith
them.
guys out of the air.
I thought
know?
they
Yeah, I
would
thought
at least
so too.
eat one of the ships.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how they were going to get like out of this and like how are you not going to kill Shin or Marok in this battle? And that's what I was expecting was like one of the Purgo was going to knock them out of the sky or something and not like.
He doesn't have to
destroy the
die.
ship.
He could just crash land and then get out.
Well, that's what I
of the way.
mean. Yeah, it doesn't have to die, but that's what I was expecting. Like, oh, knocks them off course or whatever, or
Yeah.
one of them eats one, something like I don't know. I thought something. Yeah, like
No,
I was
it was
expecting
a
them to
pretty
play a
cool
role in it instead.
car
Yeah.
chase scene. Like they kept showing, the two bad guys. They're targeting computers, looking for them, and it was showing up and disappearing. And they're like, I can't find it, man. Like they're chasing and they can't find the ship. So I thought it was well done that way because it lengthened it. Like, and there's a lot more scenes of them flying between tails and whales. And I thought this was a pretty cool scene that we've never really seen before.
Yeah.
Like G4 saying fantasy, like this doesn't get more fantasy than this. Like freaking really rad looking spaceships flying through the clouds amongst giant space blue whales like that can travel through time, or you know what I mean. It's special. It was pretty cool to see these,
And I like that
them from the cartoons as well.
I
They're
like
great
that when they
looking
land too. I like when they land. Sabine is like in shock, and Ahsoka like checks on her, and she's like, "You okay?" And she's like, "That was the first time I've seen them since Ezra." Like so, like this was her first time like being near Purgil again since Lothal, since the Battle of Lothal. So it's been quite some time, and I'm sure like that flooded her with a lot of memories of Ezra. You know what I mean?
And I have to assume the two Sith, or the Sith and the Inquisitor character, have been to this ship before. We've seen them at this location before. I'm assuming they've encountered and had to fly through those whales before. So it's not.
We said Balin looked up at one in the first.
Even though they're not the main, enemies like Balin and the Witch are, they're like secondary in demand or in command. They obviously know about these creatures as well and what the whole traveling and the aspect of this whole ship is about. So it's interesting because we don't know a lot about those characters, and that's what I like. Character development. Like, I have to compare it to Andor. Episode 1 of Andor, we got introduced to several characters, but all those characters we got to know a lot about them all. Like what,
and then all of them
Serial or his mom, and it wasn't just like a line of dialogue that was repeating something that Obi-Wan said to Luke, or it was all meaningful in a way. Like it was creating these characters and giving them.
They're all dead though.
Without giving them a backstory, because these characters we're seeing now,
all of them, they're all
already have backstories, but
they're all dead.
Some of them don't have backstories that we know about because we've never seen these characters before, and that's Balin and his apprentice. We know a little bit about the witch from the Mando show, but I want to know a little bit more about these characters. It doesn't necessarily.
That's what I'm saying. You can't kill Balin and Shin next week. You got to have them.
Be some dialogue between, the Sith master and his apprentice, because we've got lots of dialogue between Ahsoka and her apprentice now. Now give us some of the, the antagonists, to give us some of their, because I think they're both dead next week. That's what I mean. We're not going to get to know anything about them, even though there's 4 episodes left. That's still not enough time to give a backstory to any of these characters that we've seen for 3 episodes. So I really hope they give us a little, and they don't, not in a book, like a year from now.
I don't think they're gonna die as fast as.
I don't think so either. I think Marok.
I don't want to say. I know some spoilers about that. I don't want to comment, but I think
from who? Star Wars Meg.
No,
she's not reliable.
I don't know why you're even watching spoilers. Why would you want to know what's going to happen before you watch it?
I heard this about 2 years ago.
Yeah, but why would you pay it even 2 years ago?
Because people post the shit on Twitter and YouTube.
I don't see it on Twitter and YouTube. I've trained my YouTube and Twitter not to show me things I don't want to see.
Apparently, I can't do that.
Because you're clicking on them. If you don't click on it, they eventually don't show you that shit.
Knowing the spoilers and shit. Like, if I could knew the spoilers of Darth Maul in 1996, I would have been all over it, right? Like, why wouldn't
I still don't think we've drawn into like another 2 episodes at least. I think there's a lot to go in before we get there to that other galaxy.
Possibly. That was really dragging it on. I hope we at least get.
I think a lot of people were expecting like some sort of resolution with this show, and I don't think you're getting that. You're going to get the resolution when the movie comes. This is all
no, not resolution. Just introduce them to the fucking show. It's 50% done.
Well, but you got to know their method by now. Moff Gideon doesn't show up to the last
show him or not. He's already been paid.
The thing is, I don't think this is a 1 season and done. I think this is going to be 3 or 4 seasons before we even get to that movie.
I think they got.
I don't know.
It's gonna better if they want to extend the season.
It's going to depend with the writer's strike what happens, but I definitely think we could get a 2nd season, and I definitely think whatever's going to transpire at the end of this, we're going to see in Mando from a different perspective.
0 chance of a 2nd season.
Yeah, I think with the writer's strike, I think they're gonna have to do something because they're not going to be able to get the movie out.
I'll even go out on a limb and say, after this Ahsoka series, Dave's not even going to be doing that movie anymore. It's going to be given to someone else.
Yeah, right. Right.
He's a rookie, and it's showing, man. He's got to step up.
No, it's not. Get the fuck out of here, man.
But here's another question.
You're the only one who doesn't like it.
The only one complaining. Dave this, over that. Why are we doing an Ahsoka after show on your channel, then?
I do all the after shows, good or bad. That's what it is, man.
This is good, but this is good Star Wars.
Droid had to get so close.
It's the best Star Wars we've seen in quite some time.
Get much closer so I can scan it. Can't you see it out the window? Like, did Han Solo need to get closer to the Death Star to know it wasn't a planet?
Yeah.
No, they just got tractor beamed in. This ship could have had a tractor beam, no?
It could have.
It was cool. I love all the scenes with holograms. But yeah,
I like that we got the Pergil information out of this. That's very important. That's how the galaxy was mapped to begin with in the hyperspace lane.
Yeah,
cool. And I think that's important because again, we all know there's a large amount of the fanfare watching this who chances are maybe didn't watch any of those cartoons and don't know about the Space Whale, the Pergils, and how even though they explained it in episode 2, they explained it again here because these are good guys. Now the good guys. You know what I mean? Like, didn't she explain that last week?
Well, no, they don't. They didn't know
what.
Balin.
They didn't know. Explain that to Balin and Shin.
Well, the witch showed them. There's a portal. If you look at the map again, around before you get to Paradia, there's a ring that's the same ring as the Lothal Temple for the World Between Worlds, except there's Pergil in it instead of the Loaf Wolves. So
no. What I'm saying is,
they're
last
connected.
Week's episode, the witch, I keep forgetting her name,
Morgan,
explains to Balin and Shin about the space whales and why this thing is here and what it is for, why you guys are working for me, and what our goal is to go follow this space whale trail from this map here. So, but now they just explained it again, but because they're different people, they didn't hear the other. They already knew this though.
But see, we didn't know that. Like,
Sabine already knew this, right?
We're actually mapped by following them.
Okay, here,
and that theoretically it was possible.
Did Sabine and Ahsoka already know about the space whales?
They knew about them,
but not that they were the hyperspace lanes.
Because they saw the space whales take Thrawn and Ezra. They saw it with their eyes. So did Hera.
Yeah, but they didn't know where they went or anything. They didn't know anything about that. That's how the galaxy was literally shaped by people following these whales and then mapping the lanes that the whales traveled. That was new knowledge for all of us. None of us knew that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why this was such an important thing at the end. Was like, wow. So
just because, like if you were sitting there, Rick, just because you saw a whale go into hyperspace, doesn't mean you would automatically assume that everyone who's gone into hyperspace is following the whales.
Yeah. And like that's literally how they mapped the galaxy was following these things, which is crazy to think that this is literally like how. If you remember from Old Republic, that was the Great Hyperspace War was over those hyperspace rings.
You're asking me if I remember Old Republic stuff. That's funny.
I'm just saying in general, the Great Hyperspace War, that's what that was all over, was these hyperspace lanes. So like even before that Great War for the hyperspace lanes, that's how they actually charted them. That's pretty fucking cool. Like that's really awesome. And like I said, every time you see him on screen, you're automatically like drawn to him, and
he's got a so cool. Solid presence, man. That's what I mean. Like
and I saw somebody
post that they're not giving him more than 41 seconds of screen time in a 40-minute episode.
I still think though with this next episode when we see him and Ahsoka in that conversation, I think that's when we're gonna learn though a lot about him and his whole kind of little montage. You know, a villain always tells their grand plan before they, accomplish it. I definitely think we're going to get like that little moment with him and Ahsoka where he tries to use Anakin and try to get in her head, but Ahsoka's going to learn like who he actually is and how he survived. Like I think we're going to.
Well, that's sadly, I think that's the only way we have to learn about Balin's character now will be his dialogue with Ahsoka,
which is fine.
Which is minutes before she's gonna kill him. So it'll just be a short.
She's not gonna kill him.
She's gonna kill him. Again, you can say I'm wrong, but it's my theory and my opinion, so you can't say I'm wrong. It's just you just disagree with me. But since Ahsoka will be dueling him, and chances are Ahsoka won't die because everyone fucking loves stupid Ahsoka. So she's going to kill this character because that's usually what happens in Star Wars is the heroes defeat the villains, and Sabine.
I don't think either one of them has to die. I don't think these guys are villains.
I think he's gonna have to die at some point, but I think like we were saying, Marok's the dead man next week. I think we can safely assume he's the one out of the three.
That's weird because I would think you, as the younger generation fan, would think that this super secretive character that could be one of your childhood video game wet dreams could be real, and I'm surprised you wouldn't want that over a new or
if they're gonna kill him next week, then it's obviously not that important. Like he's not Ezra if they're gonna kill him.
No, they're not. They're definitely not that important of characters. I'll tell you that from the opening credits of the Ahsoka show. These two characters are not critical characters in this series
they are.
Anyway.
They're very important.
The witches.
There's a reason why their sabers are orange. There's a reason what they're doing.
That's why I think they're going to live.
A special character for some reason.
I'm with you, John. I think these two have a whole different ulterior motive to the whole entire thing.
I think we're going to find out they're not villains.
Ooh.
They're not the bad guys you think they are.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that with it. We saw this in this scene right here. His waiting to order them to go get them. Like he doesn't want to hurt Ahsoka. Like he doesn't want to kill other Jedi. And I think maybe that's something that we've seen in this whole entire thing. Is like he's got his own code. Even though he's a mercenary, even though he's doing this all for money, I think at the end of the day, his code is like, look, if they get in our way, we'll take them out. But otherwise, we don't kill Jedi.
Remember what he said. He didn't say it like that. He said, it will be a shame to have to kill her.
And there's only so few Jedi
I
left.
don't want to do it. We shouldn't do it. It's against some of the rules. It'll be a shame to have to kill.
But then he follows up with, there's only so few Jedi left in the galaxy. He still has, and she's wearing a Padawan braid. She's trained like a Jedi. So he's still holding on to parts of him being a Jedi. That's why that saber is
here now.
She was
never, ever trained as a Jedi because she's still a child. There was no Jedi. She was trained.
She was trained the way he was brought up. They're not Sith. They're not Sith.
Well, they're not Jedis.
They're not Sith.
They're red sabered Sith.
They're orange.
Force wielding power people.
They're orange.
Who work for a witch who's also a Sith magic powering wielding species of person from Darth Maul's planet, another Sith powered.
She's not a Sith
force wielding.
Yeah, they're not Sith either. The Night Sisters.
Yeah, they're not
red
Sith. They're
sword
Night Sisters.
Carrying.
They're witches.
What's up, sleeping?
None of the Night Sisters use a lightsaber at all. None of them.
They all have the magic, right? Green magic.
Yeah. It's a different way of using the Force. That's what I'm saying. It's a totally different way of using the Force, and that's why I'm saying I'd like to see a fourth group from this other galaxy that uses the Force in a different way. Also,
we've never seen Yoda anybody
throw blue lightning, right?
No. So anytime we've seen Force magic, it's been blue. Lightning. Yeah, blue. Nobody's used green except the Night Sisters.
That's what I mean.
But everybody, even Palpatine.
Yoda's the only Jedi I've seen throw lightning, and it was blue.
But anytime they've used the Force, so like anytime we've seen the Force represented in all of the movies, all of the cartoons, everything, even good, bad, indifferent, whatever, all their Force powers are blue.
Yeah, the Emperor,
the Night Sisters are green. So like, does that signify that, like John was saying, maybe the Night Sisters connected to this other galaxy?
It's a different way of using the Force.
It's a different type of Force. Yeah, maybe that's what we're going to see is like, maybe in this other galaxy, the Force is green instead of blue because
maybe it's
a little confused.
Maybe it's something.
What she is using is called magic. They actually use
Force magic.
Yeah,
they never use the word Force.
If you know Mother Palpatine and the Night Sisters, it's Force magic. It's a different form of tapping into the Force. Yep. They're just witches. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see because what if, by the end of whatever fight, or we see Sabine with some greens, because it's not like the electricity that we see; it's like smoke. It's like
it's fire, like fire.
Yeah, like a fire. So I wonder, wouldn't that be weird? Like a way to bring.
That's what I was saying though. That would be an interesting way to show Sabine's like connection to the Force. Is like, oh, she's using Night Sister magic,
like,
you know what I mean?
Like I said, I know some spoiler of the show, so there is a fleet of zombie type of stormtroopers in this story. Like sorry to spoil it. It's
only a rumor.
Out before Christmas last year. There's white stormtroopers and they're all glued together with gold. But the word they use is like zombie. So I'm thinking that this witch's magic has to be probably used for some of this in some way to help build whatever, some kind of form of a military army or a foe.
All that looks like from those pictures, Rick, though, is like Kylo Ren's helmet glued back together. It's Caligari.
Yeah. Well,
Japanese tradition of rebuilding
life again. But I mean, that magic is going to be.
We don't know. You didn't see what they were like underneath. All that you saw was the picture of the helmet with the gold crease. That's it. That's all anybody ever saw. So, like, all the rumors about, oh, it's the undead fleet, it's this, it's that. I guarantee it's like something so stupid, like something so easy to explain.
Oh, not really, because a lot of these people that make these spoilers are the people that like buy these costumes at Spencer Gifts and work on the set, right? Like some of them actually, well, all of them come from somewhere.
Yeah.
None of them.
We also heard Star Wars Mag talk about all these things that were supposed to happen in Mandalorian, and guess what? A majority of them never happened. Never even transpired.
I think she's a Doomcocker too.
Yeah.
But
she's a robot.
I really like this character, and I'm really sad the show is not called the Bale Skull Show.
You do realize, Rick, that in Star Wars, they actually literally did what you said, what you're saying right now. They went to a freaking costume place and bought a pilot outfit for Boss and just put it on him. Well, first put it on that guy in the cantina, and then they put it on Boss.
The Reese character looked badass tonight, but he was also a hologram, so we couldn't see like the glue line if there was one, or his real eyeballs underneath peeking out of the nose.
I only got like a minute or two left before I gotta go, guys.
Because that's what I love the most about Star Wars. You all know me, like I love the science fiction, the dirty of it. Like it's not Star Trek where everything's white walled and red shirt and iron.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars. It's meant to be. Someone in the 1970s freaking created it, in his garage, like with spray paint and some plastic World War II model kits, and they invented any kind of computer animation and what we see with how they did the lightsabers and the lasers. But it still holds today. I can still go back and watch an episode 4, 5, or 6, as we know, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And they still eat this Ahsoka shit for breakfast, like before their morning dump and a coffee. Like Dave is trying, but I think Dave is about 5 years behind.
No, this is
selling
just as
tickets
good.
to a movie in a
this
theater.
Is just as good.
Yeah, no.
I'm as old school as it gets, and this is just as good.
No, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad for everyone that likes it. I like it because I like doing this show. The only reason I'm like the best thing I like about this Ahsoka show is talking with you guys and in the chat about it. I'm being totally fair. Same with the Andor show and the Mando. I love watching them, but I also love coming on here and talking with my peers about it because we all read it a little differently. Most of us have very similar opinions to it, but you all knew 3 years ago how much of a shithole character Ahsoka is, in my opinion. She adds nothing to the Star Wars story, the Skywalker saga, any of that. And I'm still correct to this day. She still has added nothing to the story. So I'm just enjoying it for some live action Star Wars that has a little bit of a budget. It seems like it costs a couple bucks more than Kenobi, although I don't know why it's filmed in the same box. It's the same.
I don't know why you're complaining. I tell you, I cannot tell that it was.
Do not see other people's reviews and comments. It's not doing as good as everyone.
I don't know.
20-year-olds
I can't tell the difference.
It really isn't.
I can't tell the difference of this being filmed in the volume or filmed outdoors in a big set. I can't tell the difference.
The The only thing that really stuck out to me this episode was when she did the flip over on the out in space. When she lands, that shot looked very volume.
Yes, I agree.
Otherwise, everything else in this show has looked phenomenal. Like everything.
I could not tell you
between the volume from Kenobi to now, and what's that 2-year span, 3-year span of them working with this more. It's definitely improving every time they use the volume.
I don't care what from Mandalorian to Obi-Wan, Book of Boba Fett to this. Yeah. I could not tell you scene by scene which shots were in the volume and which shots were actually shot outdoors in a real setting. Yeah. I could not decipher the difference in any of these shows.
Do you wear your glasses when you watch a show, or you put them? Does it look better when you don't wear them?
There was moments.
I don't need my glasses to read.
It's actually very. I can see it. Like I can almost see the.
There was a lot of moments in Kenobi. Kenobi, I let slide because it was done during COVID. Like
a lot of this episode was in cockpits, or in a particular office or building. So those are little sets you can build, and you build your little worlds around.
I would go so far.
But they kept going back to that cockpit, that same cockpit.
I would go so far as to say I would like you to take a test where I would like you to go scene by scene and write down your answers, whether it's filmed on a set or filmed in the volume, and then have Dave or Joe, like Jon Favreau or someone, come by and check off every single scene and tell you. And I bet you'd be 50% wrong.
100% of this show so far has been filmed on a set in a stagecraft volume, except for when they went outside for those red trees. But then that was just an aerial shot. The rest is all CGI. When Balin is there standing by those rocks, you can see the set. Like the set is there. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about that. I like the stagecraft for what it is, but I don't like the stagecraft for my highest budget of all the budget entertainment properties. I don't like it for that.
I think they're doing just fine. I don't see anything.
They are. It's fucking badass. They'll get better. Just one here in Vancouver, I gotta go visit it. I just have to, just to see what all the stuff is about. All right, so I don't have any official. How do I hide that? Official Left Coast theories, but I am gonna throw this out there one more time. I think that red helmet at the beginning. I'm gonna play that again.
Before you do here, I do have to get going though. I'm very sorry.
See you, John.
Good. Appreciate you, John.
Hopefully next time I can stay the full 2 hours, but this time I gotta go pick something up here. So for my dad, so I gotta get going.
Good. We're gonna wrap up here, showing this little clip of Sabine's red helmet at the end. So thanks everyone for stopping by, and it better get better next week, man.
I'll be packing and moving tomorrow. So.
Oh, cheers, buddy. Good luck with all that.
I'm doing that this whole weekend as well, but I will probably have a live camera going, showing as I paint and set up the new toy room.
Do it. Might as well.
You going to your mom's
episode, right?
Yeah, I'm going to the house. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, all right, cheers. Thanks, everybody.